there is an amount that will cause anybody to move out of their house. You may not want to pay it, but there's an amount. I bet I could get everybody to move out of their house. Unless it's like the family homestead kind of thing. Right. I know you would. If I gave you $500,000, you'd move that out in a heartbeat, I bet. Well, I mean, I would. Maybe you won't. I'd have left the broom clean already. You can have the furniture. Yes, sir.
Just one recommendation on investors from past experience: don't give the money until after they move.
Oh, absolutely. You don't give the money until after they move. I also know of investors who have shown up with a moving van and said, "Look, we'll help you move." I have one investor who actually rents them an apartment and says, "I've already paid the first month over here. We'll have the moving van here on Saturday and move you out." Now that's on top of a state where we can foreclose in 42 days. That's how long it takes in Texas to foreclose. And we use cash for keys all the time. I actually have a client who, that is his, he's only ever owned 5 houses. It's his, he just, let me put it this way. He provides those that have no other opportunity, the opportunity to perhaps buy a house. So he puts people in for $3,000. They miss their second payment. He gets cash for keys, turns around and puts the next person in for $3,000. 2 months later, cash for keys. He only has 5 houses. He just doesn't want money. He just kind of turns them over. Okay? Mars, Houston, we have a problem. 2009, Congress took aim at the mortgage assistance relief services industry, and they published rules that prohibit providers of such services from making false or misleading claims. I look at that and say, you really had to write that down? I thought that was already illegal. Mandated disclosures, prohibited advance fees, imposed record-keeping requirements. It applies to providers of any service, plan, program, etc., to assist the consumer with any of the following: loan mods, forbearance, extensions, reinstatement, waiver of acceleration clause, or balloon payment, or negotiating, obtaining, or arranging a short sale, a deed in lieu, or any other disposition of a dwelling other than a sale to a third party who is not the dwelling loan holder. Okay? Final rule specifically covers the marketing of services involving the sale of properties to third parties if those services are designed or intended to avert foreclosure. Okay? If you are advertising avoid foreclosure and you do not have the 200-word disclaimers, the way the reg puts it out, you are in violation of the regulations. My whole goal, I will tell you that my goal as an attorney, I have one main goal. That's so that you never have to talk to anyone whose first 2 names are special agent. Okay? That's like a bedrock for me. Okay? And you don't know how it comes out, but I had a client who was not my client before this happened, hang a door hanger on a special agent's door that said, avoid foreclosure and we can help you. Okay. He got to talk to somebody named special agent. Now, I actually have about 5 FBI clients who are doing this on the side. So some of them I really like, some of them are great, some of them not so much. Okay, there are over 100,000 investigations in the United States open and pending by the FBI and local authorities relating to residential mortgage loan industry and rescue firms. What was happening? Here's what was happening. People were advertising that they'd help you with a loan mod. And they'd take $3,000 in advance, and then they'd contact the lender, and 96% of the loan mods failed. Well, then the people started thinking, we did a lot of work in contacting the bank and negotiating with the bank, and it didn't work. Well, why don't we just collect the $3,000 and skip the part about contacting the bank and trying to get this done? And that's what was happening, and that's why Congress took action. Okay, that's exactly what happened. And I'll tell you, If you ever really want to sleep, it's 56 pages in the Federal Register. There's 832 footnotes to this. There is 3 pages of the font size, where and how you have to list the disclosures and what they have to say. Okay? If you had rewind. If you have advertising that says avoid foreclosure, please take it out. Okay? Please take that out. Don't mention the word foreclosure. You can say avoid losing your house. Okay? You can say avoid legal trouble. That word foreclosure is really a red flag.
Can we say avoid short sale?
No, I wouldn't.
So that's too aggressive.
That's probably too aggressive.
Just avoid losing your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Avoid. Yeah. Now, you know, if you really want to get cute with it, we have had several instances in San Antonio where people have literally lost their house. I mean, it usually comes to light because they wander into somebody else's house and get shot. Okay, they're usually drunk, but they've lost their house. I thought this was my house. I thought I'd go to sleep on the couch, and they get shot because they're not in their house. So they literally lost their house. Okay. So you can lose a house. So have an attorney review your advertising and any scripts. Use the modified disclosures. We've got disclosures if you really want to use the word foreclosure. The people that are in foreclosure know they're in foreclosure. Okay? You don't have to tell them. I've actually had people say, you know, I really like this because you didn't actually accuse me of being in foreclosure. Everybody knows. They know. Okay? It's a kind of, they feel respected when you don't throw it in their face. And there are state statutes restricting working with folks in foreclosure. Maryland is the worst, by the way. If it's more than 60 days, you can't talk to them. There are ways around that, too. So how do I fill out the contract? Number 1 rule, nothing you can do in the contract that we can't fix before closing. Why do I say that? Because the way we designed our contracts was we took every single contract that the realtors had put out in every single state, and we pulled the best provisions from every one of them, those that didn't involve specific disclosures. Okay? So we have the best form and the best substantive provisions. Then what we did was we took the realtors' contracts and added back in all of the state disclosures. Okay? Now, I kind of grew up in Pennsylvania. I grew up on 10.5 acres. There were farms all around. So this is very foreign to me. Here in California, you have to tell someone if the house that you're selling is within a mile of a farm and it might be dusty and smelly. I already knew that. But here in California, you have to disclose that. So, okay. But there's nothing you can do in the contract that we can't fix before closing because we put in what we call our termination option. It's actually a provision that comes out of the Texas contract, and what it says is for X dollars, buyer has the right to terminate this contract within blank days for any reason. Okay? What I see most there is $15 in 60 days. So you remember when I was talking, we're coming back around here, folks, tying this all together. Remember I said that the one question that you have to answer is, can I find someone to put X down and pay X per month? You never know the answer to that question. Not really, with any house that you have. So you use the termination option, you get it under contract for $15, and then you have 60 days to find out the answer to that question. That's why I say the most you have at risk is $15. You got 60 days to market that property. If you find somebody to buy it, then great. If you find somebody not to buy it, if you find somebody not to buy it, if you don't find somebody to buy it, then exercise your option. You lost 15 bucks. I'm sorry. If you can't afford the 15 bucks, I'll loan it to you. Okay? Get it under contract. Get it under contract. You can back out later. Get it under contract. You can renegotiate the contract too. Well, look, the choice is, Mr. Seller, you're either going to come to closing with $2,000 or I'm going to terminate the contract. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so there's nothing you can do in the contract that we can't fix. I will tell you that probably 75% of our closings, 75% of the documents that we do change at closing. At the table. Oh, I didn't know there was going to be a proration of taxes, and I only have $2,000. All right, well, let's go back and let's just figure out, we'll just roll this back into the loan and make this payment here and that. Okay? If you come into my office to close, once you are at the table, you will not be allowed to go to the men's room or ladies' room. I have had too many deals change in that period of time. You know, oh good, we're changing it for the 4th time. Yes, no, you sit here. You can't leave. Okay, you're not changing your mind again. So you use the termination option provision to give you time to find the buyer. Okay? Now, notice I didn't talk at all about underwater houses because you don't know if a house is underwater. Because when you pull comps, you're pulling comps on a complete sale. You're pulling comps on a house that was sold without owner financing. So if you have a house that you have to do a cash sale for, someone either has to bring cash to the table or they have to go out and get a loan. That's a cash sale to the seller. And you have the house, the same house next door, where I'm offering financing and easy qualification or whatever the hell else I put into that. Which house is going to sell quicker? Mine. That's why people aren't picky about it. But if I sell that house with owner financing and it's, quote, underwater, it's not underwater. The definition of the price, of the value, is what a willing buyer and a willing seller are willing to pay. Well, I'm willing to sell it for the loan value. I'm willing to buy it for the loan value. And more likely than not, you're going to find someone who's willing to as well. You know why? Because they already have one person who thought that house was worth it. That's people that were living there. They thought it was worth it, so that's what they did. Okay? You don't know the answer to that question. Who'd have thought that you could sell 5 acres with weeds this tall on a mobile home with holes in the drywall? Man, not me. Or a house in Riverside for 50 grand down. Not me. Well, I mean, I don't know Riverside, but I hear it was hit hard. Okay? Rule 3. As long as you take care of rules 1 and 2, you've got nothing to worry about except losing 15 bucks. Okay? All right, I'm going to skip this next part. Talking about seller misunderstandings and issues, we have disclosures that are attached to the back of the contract. We do that so that everybody is made aware of all of the consequences of the deal, including the fact that the loan is going to remain in the seller's name, that it could affect their ability to get other loans. I will tell you what's been very interesting is how the lenders have started to react to this. When people go a year later to get another loan, it used to be that they would count the payment that they were receiving as income, but they would also count the payment that was being made as a debt. So the debt to equity ratios, or debt to loan to value, or no,
debt to
income. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Debt to income. The debt to income ratio is often off, so they'd have an issue. But we disclose that. Now I'll tell you what they're doing, and what we're starting to see is we're starting to see when they go for that loan after 12 months, they're starting to say, see, does this payment that they've received for the last 12 months, 75% of it, cover the debt? And if it does, they're just ignoring the underlying mortgage. And I actually have, I just did this past week, got a call from a mortgage broker on a property that people wanted to get a loan, but they had just sold their house subject to the month before. And the mortgage broker said, if you can send me a copy of the promissory note and a copy of the deed of trust, we'll disregard the fact that that loan is in their name. That's what we're seeing.
What note deed of trust? The wraparound note?
Yep. 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 No, the wraparound note deed of trust. Exactly. Exactly. Okay? So that's what we're seeing. Now, I wouldn't guarantee that happening because every mortgage broker can be different, but it certainly seems to be an interesting way of doing it. But I will tell you that my initial response when someone says that is I'm very concerned about that. I would say, what do you want to get a loan for? Well, I want to buy another house. I can hook you up. We can do a sub-2 over here. All right, ka-ching! I got money over. I sold the house over here. I sold their house. Now I sold them another one. You bet.
You record this conversation where you tell the seller that they're still on the hook for the
No, it's written down.
for the assignment.
They initially. Yep. And then they sign. Okay. Contracts are available for free for a limited time. Drafted for the investor. Includes the seller disclosures and state-specific disclosures. Includes the termination option. Includes the possession provisions, but you must close with us. Now, the reason that we require you to close with us, if you're going to use our contracts, our names are all over the contracts. Remember rule number 1. Nothing you can do on that contract, there's nothing you can do that we can't fix. But if you're closing with someone else, we don't have the opportunity to fix it. I would prefer not to be brought into your lawsuit. Thank you very much. Okay? So how do I explain this to sellers? Let's talk about the process. Find a seller willing to sell subject to. Get the property under contract. Don't discuss the terms of the loan. Use the rate sheets. Send the contract to us. Send the really, really good lender letter. Then, decide on your exit strategy. Well, that kind of worked out really odd, but find a buyer or a renter, etc. Let us draft the terms of financing and send it to the buyer. Have disclosures at closing. Then